is Putri Aurelya L, and now I'm going to explain about analyzing an audience. There will be three parts in this presentation. First is listening, and second is analyzing your audience, and the third is adapting to your audience as you speak. So now let's get started. The first part is listening. In this part, there are some points that you have to pay attention on it. The first is overcoming barriers, effective listening. You have to select or single out a message from several competing messages. Then attend to the message, understand or assign a meaning to a message, then remember the ideas and information, and last is respond. In this part, you have to pay attention to on information overload. Make the message clear and easy to understand. Then you can using interesting and vivid supporting material. Then building redundancy into your message, like concluding remark. Next point is personal concern. Focus on maintaining your audience attention, and you can use occasional wake-up message such as "No, listening carefully because it will help you to develop your business." Next is outside distraction. Do whatever is necessary to minimize distraction. You can listen and look around you for any possible distraction. Next is prejudice. Use careful language, sound reasoning, and convincing evidence that your listener will find credible. And last is differences between speech rate and thought rate, because most people talk at rate of 125 words a minute, but are able to listen to up to 700 words a minute. Then listen more effectively by mentally summarizing what the speaker is saying from time to time. The next point is how to become a better listener. So you have to listen with your eyes as well as your ears. Interpret the speaker's expression, posture, and gesture in the context of the speaker's word. Then you have to stay on task. Like remind yourself why the message can be helpful or important to you. Next is monitor your emotional reaction to a message. Control your emotions. Don't let the speaker's language close down your mind. The next is be a selfless listener. Listen for major idea. Like facts are useful only when you can connect them to a principle or concept. Then try to mentally summarize the major idea that the specific fact support. Then the sixth is identify your listening goals. Like what are you listening for? You're listening for pleasure, or maybe to empathize, or maybe to evaluate, or maybe for information. Then you have to understand your listening style. Then last is become an active listener. The third point is listen ethically. Like you have to communicate your expectations and feedbacks. Then you have to demonstrate sensitivity to and tolerance of differences. The fourth point is improve listening and critical thinking skill. Like you have to separate facts from inferences. The ability to separate facts from inferences is the basic skill in critical thinking and listening. Then you have to evaluate the quality of evidence. It consists of the fact, example, opinions and statistics that speakers use to support a conclusion. And the last is you have to evaluate the underlying logic and reasoning. As a critical listener, review the logic and reasoning used to reach a conclusion. And the last point in this part is analyze and evaluate speeches. Like you have to understand criteria for evaluating speeches, like the message should be effective and be ethical. Identify and analyze rhetorical strategies. Then you have to give feedback to others, like your feedback must be descriptive, positive, constructive, sensitive, and realistic. And don't forget to give feedback to yourself. So we next to part 2. The second part is analyzing your audience. In this part, there are 6 ways that you can do if you want to analyze your audience. The first is gathering information about your audience, informally or formally. For gathering information informally, you can ask questions of people who know something about the audience you will be addressing. Then, for gathering information formally, you can use your topic and the speaking occasion to determine what you want to know about your audience. Like you can ask specific question about their attitude. The second way is analyze your audience information. Use your credibility because it can shape your audience attitude. The third way is by demographic audience analysis, like age, gender and sexual orientation, culture, ethnicity and race. You can use group membership or socioeconomic status. And the fourth way is by psychological audience analysis, like you can analyze attitudes toward your topic, like is it your topic interested or uninterested, or maybe your topic is favorable or unfavorable, or maybe your topic is captive or voluntary. You can analyze attitudes towards you to the speaker. The fifth way is by using situational audience analysis. You can use like times, place of your speech, size of your audience, and speaking occasion. The last way is analyze your audience after you speak. You can analyze them by their response, either nonverbal responses or verbal responses. And you can analyze them by survey responses or behavioral responses. And next to the last part is part 3, that is adapting to your audience as you speak. In this part, there are 4 ways that you can use for adapting to your audience. The first way is by reading nonverbal cues, like from eye contact or maybe facial expression like smile or anything else. Then from movement, if they make mini movement or make open movement, it means your topic is not interesting. Then you can read from nonverbal responsiveness, like maybe clap or something else, and from verbal responsiveness. The second way is respond to nonverbal cues. What if your audience seems inattentive or bored? You can tell them a story, or maybe you can use an example to which the audience relate. You can use personal example like your personal experience maybe, and you can use appropriate humor, and then last is maybe you can invite the audience to participate by asking question or asking for an example. Then what if your audience seems confused or don't seems to understand your point? In this situation, you can repeat your key points, and you can use a visual aid maybe, and then you can slow your speaking rate. You have to slow your speak, and then maybe ask for feedback from an audience members to help you find what is unclear. And there are another situation like, what if your audience seems to be disagreeing with your message? You can provide additional data and evidence to support your point. Then you can remind your listeners of your credibility, credentials, and or maybe your background. Then less is really less on our stories and more on fact to present your case. The third point is customize your message to your audience, like appropriately use audience names to relate information to specific people, but don't forget to ask them for permission to use their name in your talk, and maybe refers to the city or town or community where you are speaking. And you can also find ways to apply facts, statistics, and examples to the people in your audience. Then the last way in this part is adapt to diverse listeners, because your audiences are diverse. They are different. There are audience who individualistic, and there are audience who collectivistic, and maybe there are audience who high with high or low context. So you have to choose the simple word to explain your key points. Then maybe there are like high or low need for certainty, so you have to explain your key points step by step. And then there are audience who have a high or lower power, because your audience come from many differences, many different background. And the last is long-term or short-term time orientation. Okay, I think it's enough. Thank you for listening to my explanation, and thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.